Stop telling me what your characters look like. I am not a "you're doing this wrong" kind of person. I have such a deep belief that your writing is your writing and you know how you want to write, but I promise you this isn't how you want to write. So this is what I see. You name a character, you say John walked in the room, and then you describe them. And the very first thing you do is you give me a qualitative statement. John walked in the room. He was stunningly handsome. And now I get the list. 6'3" tall, broad shoulders, brown hair, chiseled jaw. He wore a $3,000 suit. His shoes gleamed. His Rolex sparkled. His steely blue eyes pierced through my soul. And then you give John something to do. He walked up to me and began speaking. I see the same thing with female characters, only it's so much worse. Start with that qualitative statement, she was sexy. And then I get descriptions of her legs, of her hips, of her tummy, of her breasts, her eyes, her lashes, her lips, her hair, her dress, her shoes, her necklace. You know if you're doing this. You hear me talking and it's making you uncomfortable. You feel like I'm attacking you. I'm not attacking you, because unless you went and got a degree in creative writing or English literature or something like that, then that is how you were taught to write. When we're teaching people how to write at the very beginning, grade school, middle school, high school, this is what we tell them to do. We want descriptions of the characters. But it's the same thing as when we're teaching kids to sound out words. That's how you start, but eventually you have to give it up. So what do you do instead? Well, the first and probably the easiest thing to tell you is just don't. Don't describe the character at all. Your reader will imagine the character, even if you never say anything. Give as little description of your character as possible. But if you've got it in your head, you've got an idea of what this character looks like, and you really want to tell the reader, first thing, don't dump the character description in a block. I don't need to have the character perfectly envisioned the moment they walk in the room. I've got time to learn about this character, time to develop them in my mind. So spread it out. Spread it out as long as you can. Take paragraphs or pages or chapters. 2, get rid of those qualifiers at the beginning. Do not give me a judgment about the character's appearance. No telling me he's handsome. No telling me she's sexy. No telling me they're innocent. No judgment qualifiers on the character. 3, when you are telling your reader what they look like, have a reason that you're telling them. You're not telling the reader so that the reader knows what they look like. There's a reason why it's relevant what they're wearing or what they look like. So let me give you a quick example from Dark White. Gavin and Weather are walking through the quad at the University of Chicago on their way to a party. It's December 31st, New Year's Eve. Weather, as usual, was overdressed and underbundled for the winter climate of the city. Only a light knit sweater separated the freckled, snowy skin of her shoulders from the nearly January breeze. Her fine auburn hair danced along the tops of her shoulders, and her thin, delicate legs stood bare below her light black dress. It was absurd to dress like this at that time of year, but it was also charming and probably intentional. She was giving me the opportunity to be chivalrous. I took it and offered her my coat. So we're getting a description of what Weather looks like, but it's not about what she looks like. We're not doing it for the reader to picture her. What we're doing is we're explaining her behavior in this temperature. We're describing the fact that her sweater is light, even though it's New Year's Eve in Chicago. We're saying her thin legs are sticking out of her light black dress. Not because we want the reader to picture what she's wearing, but we want them to understand her behavior. It has the added benefit of painting a picture of the character in our head, but we're not doing it gratuitously for the purposes of describing the character. Also notice we didn't go on and on. We didn't talk about her shoes and her necklace and her eye color and her eyelashes. bare minimum to get the point across and to convey a feeling, a sense of tone and ambience. So go back and look at your writing. Find a place where you're introducing a character for the first time. And then ask yourself, how am I describing this character? Is it all one big block? Am I qualifying it with a judgment at the beginning? And is it there solely to tell the reader what the character looks like, or is it serving another purpose? You know if this video is for you, and you probably know someone else that should see it. So pass it along, and together we'll get our character descriptions in shape.